Hello and welcome back to what will be the final video on the Volvo. I've got a handful of parts left to fit to it, and then there's not really much else to do to it. It's just going to exist with me until I've fixed the Navara, at which point it'll be for sale. So if anybody wants a Volvo, let me know. But only when you've seen the video for the Navara fixed gone out. So I'll just run through with you the parts that I've got to fit today. I had to wait for some of these, annoyingly. So we've got an engine. I think this is more of a stabilization mount rather than an actual engine mount. The one that I've got, I don't know whether I showed it in the other video, but the bush here and the bush here basically don't exist. So I've got a new one of those. Power steering pump, this will be to replace the one that I've got. So when you're driving along in a straight line, touch the wheel ever so slightly and it jerks on you. So new one of those. Track rod ends, both sides. Hopefully this will solve my steering issue while braking. It's about the last suspension component I can replace, so I'm not sure what else it could be other than the steering rack. And then finally we've got rear shocks. Now these are the correct self-leveling shocks. Since the initial walk around video I worked out that this car should have self-leveling shocks on it, and somebody's done the cheap thing and only replaced one side with a non-self-leveling shock. Now you can convert it, but since they did it on one side, the previous owner clearly hasn't. They've just been cheap. So that'll be a nice fix for that. And these were an advisory on the MOT, so I do need those. While it's not raining, I'm going to start with the track rod ends, as that's the part that I think is most important. And then we'll see if it stops raining. We're just at that time of year where the rain is a bit on off. So you'll probably see this video recorded over a couple of days. Depends on what the weather's going to do. I've already tried to record this once and it rained on me, so we'll see how far we get, but at minimum I'd like to get both of these track rod ends in today and then get it aligned. So let's start there. These are the two track rod ends, and I think these are definitely the source of my issues, because yeah, they were absolutely f***ed. Like there's too much play in there. I've also done the rear stabilization mount. I didn't film that, it was like 3 bolts, it wasn't too difficult. The front half of it looks in pretty good condition. The back half basically was missing, so I suspect that the oil leak from the gearbox sort of ate that away to nothing. So that's been done. Next job is the shocks. Now I was having a look, trying to work out what was going on in here. I had to look up a guide online. So what I need to do is cut a hole in this carpet, which is interesting because this is the side that's been replaced with a non-standard shock, and this hasn't been cut. So I'm not sure how they managed that. The other side's the same. That's never been cut, so I suspect that side is probably original. So I need to cut a hole in this to access the top mounts. The top mounts then come out, the top mount, so I can just undo the shock from the middle, and then I can jack the car up. There's one bolt at the bottom that holds the bottom of the shock in, and the whole shock comes out in one piece, and then I can reverse that and put it back together. But it is raining, so maybe it stopped. So yeah, quickly do that, and then power steering pump is the last job to do on this before we go and get alignment. I'm not sure where I'm at currently, because it's been about a week or so since I last did any work on this, but the last thing I tried to do was the power steering pump. So I popped round to my friend's house, who does have it, and we started to strip this down and found two things. First of all, this pipe here is a threaded hole. So much like a brake line, you undo this, you thread it into the new power steering pump. The one I bought isn't like this, which I'll show you in a second. But what we also noticed is this pipe here was leaking at the bottom, it was moving. So we've tightened that up. I've topped up the power steering fluid, and it was also leaking at the bottom of the reservoir here as well. Now, the pump itself still needs replacing. It makes a lot of noise. It's probably been run dry in its life, and that's probably one of the reasons it needs replacing. But I can't replace it right now because the one I've got doesn't fit. So what you can see here is this one is a push fit with a separate bolt for a clamp. So despite eBay telling me this will fit my car, so I'm going to have to return this, annoyingly. So you're not going to see me finish this in the video because I'm not going to wait weeks while I argue with eBay about getting my money back for that power steering pump and then getting one that fits, and then, because, yeah. What I've also had to do is get a new set of tools for the rear shocks, as is the way with a lot of drop links and ball joints and top mounts and all that sort of stuff. We've now gone to a setup where it's a Allen key in the top, or a Torx or something like that, and then what you need is what's called a pass-through socket, where there's a hole in it. So what you can do is pass your Allen or Torx in this case, just with one hand. You can pass that through the top, hold the, in this case, the strut in place, and then undo the nut, and that'll work. I've had to buy this set to be able to do that because it's so sunk in underneath the seats and everything that you can't get anything else in. I'm now going to finish off these shocks with the new tools, and we'll get this thing finished finally. What has also happened since the previous clips and the initial work that I started on this thing is I've had to take it for an MOT. I was hoping to get the shocks done before the MOT, but luckily they're just misting. They're only misting, so they don't actually need replacing for the MOT, so it's passed. But it does mean that, well, it shows on the MOT, and I'm going to replace them anyway because they need doing regardless. So then the only other thing was a number plate bulb, so that's a dead easy fix, just throw another bulb in it. So yeah, let's get these shocks replaced. I'm not even going to bother putting the time-lapse footage in here because I was out here about 10 minutes. So every time, so I'm gonna put a bit more in here. Every time I think I might like this Volvo, it does something to me. So for example, yesterday on the way back home from the MOT, for the first time driving it, it's pretty warm out at the moment, between the rain showers anyway, and I was like, oh, let's see if the aircon works. I've not tried it yet. Ice cold, perfect. Better than the pickup truck, better than the Navara, better than any other car that I currently own, because none of them have a working aircon. And then this happens. So just to prove that this shock is aftermarket, it's an Allen, not a Torx, and it's now rounded. So I've now got that shock, which is the wrong shock, is stuck on. I'm not even going to attempt the other side. I think I'm just going to pay somebody to do this at this point. I'm actually fed up of working on the Volvo. That's why this was going to be the last video, despite all the other little bits that I've got to do. It's just every time that I feel like I'm getting somewhere with this thing, it's like, yeah, no, here's a whole load of new tools that you've got to buy that then become useless because the thing rounds in the first place. So I'm just going to pay somebody to replace these shocks. I'm going to chase the guy on eBay to try and get the correct power steering pump, because this is now the second pump I bought. One of them was second-hand used, and that's my fault for not checking the year, because I bought it off a facelift version, but the one on eBay should have fit because, you know, it was labelled as fitting. So that's honestly all you're going to see from the Volvo. This will be the last video. I'm going to keep working on it. Like, the shocks need fitting, I need the power steering pump, I still need to find a headliner from somewhere. You can just about make that in there. And there's a couple of other really minor bits that need doing. So if you want to keep track of the Volvo progress, just follow me on Instagram. That would be the best place to find it all. So yeah, that's it for me from the Volvo. If you're interested in buying this at any point, let me know. Drop me a message on Instagram. That's probably the best place to find it. There's a link to my profile in the description below. And just drop me a message. I've got a couple of my friends that might be interested in it, but it depends when I actually sell it. But yeah, if you're seriously interested, just let me know. Thanks for watching, everyone. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.